Hey there, this is Patrick from Dallas Hockey Hangout, coming to you after a riveting 5-4 Stars win over the St. Louis Blues. Unbelievable, this team's ability to beat St. Louis when the game is at the closest. I cannot remember a time in which the Stars team literally just had someone's number. They went 3-1 against St. Louis this year, but I mean, how deflated must you be if you're a Blues fan, player, coach, to just say, "Oh yeah, we come back and we're in the game. Oh, we lost again in the last minute." So you got, I mean, it was less than a minute in the first time they played, or I should say, the first win that the Stars had over them, and then you get one with a minute 7 left. It was Robo with a minute left, and the 3-2 win over the Blues, and then it was rather should say with 107 left, and then Wednesdays was with 23 seconds left. So 3 goals equate 6 points essentially. Finds a way to, they play down to their competition a little bit. These lower level central teams like Chicago and St. Louis, while they have talent, they're just not as good this year. And then for some reason, Dallas just seems to, not play like they play against some of these other teams. But that said, I do feel like, the Central Division is the most difficult division. I feel like it's been that way for a long time, but it's tough with my own personal biases. But I mean, it's just every year that's the thing though. Look, Chicago, Winnipeg, St. Louis are the bottom 3 teams. And I mean, Dallas is, kind of eked out wins against Winnipeg, St. Louis, kind of struggle against Chicago. They say styles make fights, but I'm not quite sure what style Chicago is running besides up-tempo and loose. And I just think Dallas is probably when they were playing Chicago, not playing very well defensively. But, playing against a St. Louis team, which is traditionally a defensive-minded team, low scoring, these games against the Blues have been relatively high scoring. So there was 5, well, let's include the first time they played the Blues. They lost 3-1, but 4 goals scored, and that's about the average for these two teams. So then you get 5 total goals in the second matchup, 7 total in the next one, and then 9 in this one. We should have known that it was headed this way because the Blues are a good structured defensive team, but they obviously are not that good or structured, because then they wouldn't be, losing the way they have. Obviously, I don't know if you guys saw the big meltdown they had against, the Predators. I believe that was, let's see here, that was the 2nd. So that was Monday. They completely crapped the bed and, were up 5-1 with, in the middle of the second, and Nashville scores the last 5 goals and all in regulation. That's tough. I do feel bad for Montgomery. Be really curious to see if they keep him on this year. It's just not going their way this year, and I'd be really interested to see which players they trade away at the deadline. I can't imagine we're going to see Falk still there. I don't know. They've got some talent. There are some guys on this team that, certainly would fit in well with other teams. Yeah, I mean, Dallas, what can you say? It's just a really exciting time to be a Stars fan. They're riding let's launch right into how should we view this team. They're riding a 6-game winning streak, and they haven't had a 6-game winning streak all season. For all of their peaks and valleys and how dark times it was previously to this little run, Dallas has found a way to, string some wins together and do so. And I mean, it's incredible, frankly. 3-2 1-goal win over the Blues, 4-3 1-goal win over the Blues, 5-4 shootout win over Vegas, 3-2 win over Utah, 4-3 OT win over Winnipeg, and 5-4 win over Blues. All 1-goal games, essentially. Traditionally, Dallas plays really well in them. They're just typically a little bit lower scoring. So, I mean, honestly, if this is the recipe for the playoffs, then I think Dallas is in good shape. Like, I definitely think we'll touch on this later. They definitely need to make an addition at the trade deadline. But, those playoff games, the offense dips a little bit and it's close. So the fact that Dallas is finding its offense and still winning close games, to me, that's what I like to see. However, giving up these leads the way they have in the third period is not ideal. So how should we view this team? It's a team on a 6-game winning streak, but it's also a team that's kind of struggling to lock down leads right now, which, they're coming out with the wins. And if you listen to Glenn Gullison's post-game press conference, he's big about talking about you are what your record says you are, which, Dallas people around here might remember the Big Tuna saying that. Dallas Cowboys head coach Bill Parcells always notably saying that. Gullison was asked during their little losing streak when they lost 10 of 12 that Dallas is not as bad as their record was suggesting right then, but they weren't as good as their record was early in the season when they were just cranking off wins left and right. I mean, look, Dallas is 34, 14, and 9 on the year. That feels right. They're a dominating team. They've got warts like many teams do, but right now, lots of facets of this team is playing well. So PK's doing pretty well, though they gave up one to the Blues. But I mean, the power play is as good as it's ever been, that I can distinctly remember in a long time. And goaltending has been solid, and the defense has been there. And then obviously we know that Dallas has found some scoring lately. So yeah, the Ben, Duchesne, Steele line, I mean, Dallas has desperately needed some third and fourth line scoring this season. Obviously, Dallas likes to operate in pairs with Robertson and Hintz and Rantanen and Wyatt Johnston. And now they're continuing that with Duchesne and Ben. And, this, spoilers for 3 stars, this is about as good of a game as you're going to see from Jamie Benn in a hot minute. So we'll touch on him a little bit later. I got some good stats I pulled from him. But yeah, we'll just quickly run down how the game shook out. The Blues got on the power play midway through the first. Not the biggest fan of how many penalties Dallas is taking lately. They took 5 penalties. It's not ideal. Obviously, that's not a recipe for success. But yeah, I mean, the Blues open the game. There's a broken play, and Bushnavis, gets a nice pass, from Kyrou, and he's wide open inside the faceoff dot and gets an easy one-timer, relatively easy. Pretty hard to stop for Onger. Definitely wouldn't like to see that pass get through so quickly, but you've seen from Dallas's power plays that, they get that pass through a lot as well. So teams are trying desperately to lock that pass to the slot down. It's easier said than done, right? So yeah, I mean, not the best to give up the power play goal, but they didn't give up anymore. So that's important. Dallas ties it up 1-1 with just, man, another night in which Rantanen was just incredible, but it's just going to go under the radar because of how many good Stars players there were tonight. So, incredible patience from Moose to get down the slot, and he's being stick checked and he's still hanging on to the puck. And so it looks like either his shot or pass is immediately deflected right back to him. And then everyone's staring at him, and he's just got Robertson waiting down by the goal line, essentially, for the one-timer. And Bennington's just in no position to stop it. So, I mean, the vision from Rantanen is elite. And, the Blues, I mean, we were talking about them being a good defensive team, they were puck watching a lot. So it's clear they have areas of their game they want to clean up. But I mean, you've seen from the Stars when they go through these stretches that the defensive game can get lost. you get caught up and turned. I mean, look at the third period. We'll touch on it, but Dallas was tentative. They were making strange choices with the puck, bad line changes. It can happen quickly. I do encourage you guys to look up a good video of, I believe it's the Battle of Alberta I was watching last night against Edmonton and Calgary, and it might not have been them, but there was a cool clip of just talking about, I believe it was, they were up 2-1 against Edmonton. The announcers are talking about how, you know, nothing can be happening, and then all of a sudden it can just happen in an instant. And like right as they're saying that, they get a long stretch pass up, and their flame goes in, dekes, and makes a goal. And their point was just that, hey, it can happen fast. That nothing's happening until it is. So yeah, let's just move on to the next Blues goal, which was tough because there's the delayed penalty on Capobianco for high sticking neighbors, and then it's just quick puck movement. I should say, Kyrou gets the puck at the right circle, and it's just, we talk about getting that puck in the dirty areas. Dallas wasn't the best at that tonight, just keeping the Blues out of that area. And oftentimes your goalie is not really going to be able to stop those one-timers from the slot. Players are too good accuracy wise from that close in. So, Kyrou makes it 2-1, and they've got the first period lead. But I mean, Dallas was so dominant in the second period. Really, you kind of like blink and you might have missed how the game shook out just because of how quickly those goals came in the second. And all of a sudden, Dallas is owning the lead in the second. So, Duchesne gets on the board and on a power play right as it's ending. Ben wins his faceoff. And then just what I love to see is just a quick shot from Harley from the point. Just shoot the puck. Dallas did that tonight, of course, which was really good to see that they got, 28 shots on goal. So, and then, the shot from the point is just rebounded right to Duchesne, who's just waiting to put it in an empty net past Bennington. So clearly this chemistry is starting to build with these guys. And obviously it develops a little bit, later in the period, but Dallas takes the 3-2 lead after Robertson has an incredible power move, and that rebounds right back out. Oh, he power moves and then kind of falls off his stick, turns around, puts a shot on net, which again, let's just create some havoc, get the shot on net. And then look what happens. Mav wins his battle in front with the St. Louis defenseman and has a pretty easy putback, all things considered. And just wanted to touch on Mav Report for a little bit because he had such a relatively slow start to the season. We're approximately, I know it's a little less, approximately 60 games in, and it does seem that he's found his NHL legs. Like it feels like Maverick Bourque is here to stay. And when you start thinking about having another guy that can make things happen in the playoffs, along with how Ben and Duchesne are developing their chemistry and finding their scoring, I mean, look out. If Dallas goes into the playoffs with 3 scoring lines, like they have many seasons previous, they're going to be such a difficult team. They go up against Edmonton in these Eastern Conference finals, and it's Edmonton that it's actually shuts them down offensively. Dallas struggled to score in those series. So I'm curious to see what Dallas does to potentially address some of the matchups they might get in the playoffs. That said, don't look now. Yes, Colorado has games in hand, but Dallas is 6 points back of Colorado. Minnesota is 5 points back. So it's not unheard of. It would be pretty exciting to see how the last 20-ish games shake out, to see if maybe Minnesota or Dallas can give Colorado a shake. So yeah, Dallas takes it. Just quickly move on. Dallas takes 4-2 lead with, Ben finds himself all alone in the slot, and he's not going to miss that if he's unchecked. Definitely never want to forget. Don't forget, Jamie Benn was the NHL accuracy contest winner at the All-Star game when he went. So this guy can shoot. I feel like people forget that. Sometimes I do, but just because he's not as shooting mindset isn't. He's a pass first player. So I know I keep saying, hey, we're going to do stuff in the future, but one idea I've been kind of kicking around that I'm going to be evaluating is just like, hey, how do we look at each player on the Stars right now? Are they pass first or are they shoot first? Because, you got a lot of good players that it feels like they could go either way. So I feel like Jamie Benn has always been a pass first player. Sometimes he just doesn't shoot enough, but man, he's all alone in the slot and makes no doubt. So man, the Blues goal, the kind of midway through the third, that was a backbreaker because nothing's happening. There's a bad line change, and then all of a sudden Snuggerud goes in a 1-on-3, has a really good angle on Ottinger, kind of catches Ottinger leaning left and to Ottinger's left, and then Snuggerud shoots to Ottinger's right, and there's an angle there inside the post, and then all of a sudden, now they did feed this earlier in the period in the third because they took, let's see here, Wyatt took a hooking penalty 6 or so minutes in, and while the Blues didn't score off that, they definitely captured some momentum there and found a way to keep the shifts rolling, and Dallas just didn't find a very good way to stop the cycle, stop the momentum the Blues had. So you could kind of see this goal coming a little bit, but the fact that it came unassisted off a bad line change is pretty tough. So yeah, Torpachenko ties it with 4.5 left, and here we go again. He's weird situation in which Ritzkovian and Rantanen collide in the offensive zone, and then there's an odd man rush going back the other way. Broberg, just really impressive backhand pass to Torpachenko, who's driving the slot. And, again, where are these goals coming from? The slot. That's where most of them are scored. Certainly want to see coming out of the Olympic break, Dallas be a little bit better defensively. I would imagine that's got to be at the top of Gulleton's list as, hey, let's stop giving up goals from the slot. Let's mark our players a little bit better and, not give up such prime scoring chance goals. You can live with these shots from the point. Maybe they get deflected, whatever. You get a power play goal, whatever. But, to have a guy unmarked on the slot's pretty tough. So it's 4-4. Looks like we're headed to overtime again, and Dallas finds a way again. It's just incredible. But I just love this play from Miro. He gets it in his defensive zone. And I believe it was Robert Tiffin that asked a really great question to Gulleton, which is like, hey, why doesn't Miro do this more often? And of course, Gulleton answered it really well, which is just that Miro does default to defense. He is a defenseman, but we all know that he has that in him and he can do it more often. So I hope to see more of that in the rest of the season. He just mules the puck up the left boards. He's just faster than the Blues players, and you could see that no one was really wanting to lay a body on him or whatever. And then you get some late checkers going over to try and get the puck from him once he enters the offensive zone. And then all of a sudden you just look over and it's just like every Blues player is looking at Miro, rightfully so, because he's an incredible player, but feels like maybe you should catch the guy in the backside. And, Jamie Benn's wide open. Don't see a ton of one-timer goals from Ben unless they're literally net mouth one-timers, but to see him go down on one knee like Hull, and I think I heard mentioned Beltre, and then strike that pose and kind of skate all the way to the boards was just awesome. It's so great to see Jamie still operating at a level that we've seen from him. It's just incredible. So just hit you with a couple notes from that, and then we'll sign off today. But, Jamie's on a 4-game point streak. Is it official to call it a Bennaissance? Because I feel like we might be there. A 4-game point streak and 8 points in that time period. It's really incredible. Oh, I did skip 3 stars. I don't want to forget that. But obviously, Ben's 3 stars. Number 1 star. He had 2 goals and an assist. It was his first multi-goal game since he had 2 goals in a 4-2 win over Pittsburgh on March 22nd of 2024. So it has been a minute for Jamie. But, that said, Jamie is very pass first. So I don't think you can look at it and be like, oh, he's, I won't even say it, but just that, that fall to the ice and he hits his head and he has to wear the visor, that obviously impacted him. And same with the concussion for Duchesne. It's obviously impacted these guys. So they're finally getting back up to speed and finding chemistry. And now Dallas has a third line they can rely on. That's essentially you can use as matchups and kind of use as a pseudo second line to get the matchup you want. And Dallas, took advantage of the Blues. I can't imagine we're going to see Duchesne and Ben split too often just based on their chemistry we've seen. So yeah, second star would do Snuggerud. He was incredible. This guy, I mean, we talked last pod about Star Killer. I hope he's not heading in that direction, but he plays really well against the Stars. So a few choices you could have for third star, but I am going to go with Robertson just because he's a goal and an assist. He's got 6 shots. He's +2. He's playing almost 20 minutes. You could choose a lot of stars. I mean, I was really, really tempted to pick Miro because he had 2 assists and essentially we'll do it. We'll change it. No one's a boss of us. Yeah, Miro third star. I mean, because he just makes that play. I mean, it's just the play of the game. And it's all his vision, his skating, and Dallas can't win it without him. So we'll change it up there and go Miro third star. But yeah, this chemistry, this Stars offense is finding. I mean, let's just look up and down the lineup and look at a player right now. I can only see like one player, and that's that if you're being super negative, at which you could look at offensively, that's like not having a good season. So Sam Steele, we know what he's been able to do, go up and down the lineup. He's not on the team for major production, but having a great season. Robo, say less. I mean, the guy's incredible. Doing really well this year. Mikko, Stars MVP this year. Wyatt, incredible. Going to break some records. Sorry, Mike Badano. Those seem to be falling. Ritzkovian, I mean, rookie, incredible speed, tenacious, gets to the front of the net, not scared to fight. Incredible. But, Rupp is one of the few guys that you might be, quote unquote, down on. But, I mean, again, he's one of those guys that you don't think of as shoot first necessarily. Picks up just quietly another assist on the night and keeps going. I mean, yeah, Rope's having a good season. Foxa, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I just love Foxa. I mean, look, you see that penalty the Stars had to kill off. I believe it was in the third. It might have been late second, but man, I think it might have been late second, but Fox is making 2-3 blocks on it. He's just everywhere in the defensive zone, and he's so big and such a long stick that he just covers so much ice, and his physicality, and he's just so smart and willing to put his body in front of the puck. So awesome to see there. So arrow pointing up. Ernie hasn't been on the lineup all year, but I really like what I'm seeing from him. He's physical. He definitely shows that he's got some offensive prowess to him. Duchesne, arrow pointing up, definitely. Maverick Borg arrows to the ceiling. Incredible. Ben, we just talked about him, headed up. And then really, like, this isn't getting too critical, but, back, I want to see a little bit more from him, but he's a checking fourth line guy. He goes in there, bang bodies, be defensively responsible. He's playing 14 minutes. He played almost 5 minutes shorthanded. Here's my dog Ben coming in here. So yeah, I think maybe that might be a sign that we're wrapping up. But the Stars are headed into the Olympic break, and there's just who do you root for? Let me ask y'all, who you guys rooting for? Because Stars have major players on all 3 teams, and I should say 4 teams, including Radek Faksa. But yeah, it's tough not to root for Team Finland, just given all the Stars players. But I mean, it's Team USA all day. I really hope we get another USA-Canada matchup like it was in the 4 nations, and hopefully we get some fights right off the bat, and we get the Olympics going, because this is just such a big opportunity for the sport, NHL hockey players, to just show the world like just how great the game can be and how exciting it can be. I'm really looking forward to the average fan or the average sport fan turning in and being like, hey, you guys heard about this? Heard about this hockey? I sound like I'm 70. But yeah, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I just am pretty interesting to see. I think it was Sorelli that was hurt for Canada, and then they called up Bennett. Was kind of curious if Wyatt might get a look there, but just I'm split because I want these guys to play in the Olympics and represent their country. You're not going to keep them from doing that anyways. But that said, you know, definitely like having them healthy for a star season. So we'll wrap it up today. The Bennaissance is back. It's real and spectacular for any of you Seinfeld fans. Dallas wins a 5-4 game over the Blues, a third game in as many tries, winning in the last 67 seconds. It's just incredible, this team right now. 6-game winning streak heading into the break. Be pretty good feeling for fans and the team right now, knowing that if they can just play, even if it's just like 500 hockey the rest of the way, that they're in a good position, and definitely think they have an opportunity to, press for the 1 seed. And hopefully, I think the goal is just get home ice advantage against Minnesota. So I would imagine that's the goal these past 20 so games, and Dallas gets home ice. If it goes to a game 7, they have that advantage. And then, can't imagine Dallas is too scared about playing in Colorado all those games, given how Dallas has handled it there in the past several seasons. So we'll do a couple, non-game recap pods and some Olympic pods here in the next few weeks. It's 3 weeks till the next Stars game. So you'll be hearing from me, that's for sure. If you guys have any questions, at Patrick Hayslip on Twitter, Dallas Hockey Hangout at gmail.com. Reach out. Let's talk. Let's hang. Stars winning 5-4 over the Blues. Catch you guys next time.